You know, cleaning your wheels and tires is something that you're going to do a lot. It's the part of your car that's constantly touching the ground. Now, on a high performance car, you're going to have even more brake dust than on something like our daily driven Yukon here. Now, the process that you use to clean your tires is not the same process that you're going to use to clean your wheel wells, which is again not the same process you're going to use to clean your wheels. You use different tools for that. So look at this spread of stuff. It's a lot of stuff, but there's a really specific need for each one of these tools when it comes to cleaning and protecting your wheels, your tires, and your wheel wells. So in this segment, I'm going to get really thorough and get kind of weird about cleaning each part of this in the most effective and efficient manner. But the most important thing is process. Now, you want to use a bucket. All right, so bucket of clean water, grit guard in the bottom of your bucket. I like to keep a bucket specifically for wheel and tire cleaning. Why? Because there's nasty stuff in it. It's not the same bucket that you want to use to wash your car. Then, let's go ahead and blast off the wheel and the tire. And the most important thing, one of the reasons that we always clean the wheels and the tires first is that we don't want hard water on the paint or the glass. So cleaning wheels and tires always happens before you wash the rest of the vehicle. It's one of those variables that can take a lot more time if you've got some seriously dirty wheels. I'm going to start by rinsing off the wheel well and the tire and wheel. Next, I'm going to clean the tires and the wheel wells. Now, the chemical that I use to clean tires and wheel wells is our tire and rubber cleaner. It's the same stuff that we like to use on the wheel wells. Now, you're going to have one of two kinds of wheel wells. I should say one of three. You're going to have plastic lined wheel wells, carpet lined wheel wells like this, or painted, just painted wheel wells. Now, when you're using this chemical on either the plastic or on the carpeted, you're going to use one of two brushes. For the wheel well, you need a brush that gets all the way into the back without you having to stick your hand to the back of the wheel well. This very specific brush has flagged bristles, so they're somewhat soft, yet they're firm enough to cut a lot of the mud and crud out of your wheel wells. I'm going to get it wet first, and then I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to the back of the wheel wells, getting all the crud out. Now, we were in the mountains for a little while, and we had about a 4-mile long dirt road. So we have a ton of crud in here. Now, if you have a car that never sees a dirt road, you're going to spend a whole lot less time scrubbing out your wheel wells than I'm doing here. So, boom, back into the bucket. I always want to use my bucket of water to keep all the brushes in so that they get clean between this tire and the next. Now, when it comes to doing the tires, this is a very specific short bristle brush which has firmer bristles, and this bristle is specifically made to cut crud from your tires. If your bristles are too firm, they won't make complete contact with the tire face, therefore you'll see streak marks. This bristle is just made specifically for getting complete contact onto the tires so that you'll be able to cut all of that crud off. Now you're going to notice, spray a little wheel and tire, you're going to notice that your tires are going to look super brown as you're scrubbing them. That's good. That's the chemical working hard to knock all the crud off your tires. Okay, I want to make sure and always put my brush back in the bucket. So I just rinsed off the wheel well and the tire. I want to get the cleaner off of both of those. This way it doesn't dry and streak. It's important to do that. It takes 2 seconds, and I'm not putting water on the rest of the car, so I'm not worried about water spots. Now it's time to go ahead and go after the wheels. Now your wheels are going to be clear-coated factory wheels, painted factory wheels, aftermarket factory wheels, aftermarket polished wheels, and there's probably a zillion other types of wheels that you might have. But bottom line, if your wheels are painted, you want to be super delicate, because if you just use a nasty brush in there, you're going to scratch them all up. Another thing about cleaning wheels, the barrel of the wheel back here. If you don't clean the barrels of your wheels, if you don't get the back of the wheel cleaned, what'll happen is eventually the brake dust will build up and build up and build up. It'll break down the paint or the clear coat or even the naked aluminum, and it'll just become nasty. You will not any longer be able to have a perfectly cleaned wheel. So you want to clean the barrel of the wheel every single time you clean it. Now that sounds like a pain, because reaching your hand into the back, taking off the top of your knuckles on the brake rotors, that's a drag. Well, if you use the right process and the right tools, it's actually pretty easy. So I'm going to tell you how to do this with ease. First, our wheel cleaner. Our wheel cleaner is a pretty unique formula. I'm going to spray the barrel first. Our wheel cleaner absolutely attacks brake dust. On minivans and super low performance brakes, you're not going to have a huge color change. However, on performance cars, you're going to see that as our wheel cleaner, which has an active ingredient that as it completely eats the metal brake content, the metal brake dust off, it turns bright purple. You're going to see it for sure on your brake rotor no matter what, of course, unless you have carbon or ceramic brakes. But watch how this stuff turns colors as it cleans and eats the nastiness off there. I'm going to make sure and hit each of those lug nuts, and I want to make sure and really well clean and spray the brake calipers. Your calipers hold a ton of brake dust, so you want to make sure and do those every time you clean your wheels. With this wheel cleaner, I want to make dang sure that as I do one wheel, I do it completely, and I don't want to let this wheel cleaner sit on the wheels for a long time. It's a very serious wheel cleaner. It's awesome. It's very effective. And don't go around and spray all 4 of your wheels with wheel cleaner and then come back and do them. That's a bad idea, and you could have problems with that. So this is safe. I'm going to do one wheel at a time. I'm going to start with our wheel woolly, cleaning the barrels of this wheel. I'm going to get it wet first. And I always like to put a little bit of cleaner into the tools that I'm cleaning. Okay. Now you see this little bend? This little bend allows me to get right up behind each spoke. And I can get the barrel of these wheels perfectly clean with this tool with very little effort. You notice the tops of my knuckles are not bleeding right now? It's because I don't have to reach in the back with an old ratty wash pad. So the barrel of the wheels, I'm using the wheel woolly. Now, this is how you remove seriously caked on nasty brake dust. You put this into the barrel of the wheel and give it a turn, and boom. This little guy cuts nasty, baked on, cruddy brake dust. Now, there's only one problem. On a lot of cars, you can't get behind the brake caliper. The brake caliper clearance isn't big enough, and that's why you're going to want to see the mini turbo stick, and this mini turbo stick is for getting behind that little guy. Perfect. Awesome. Mini turbo stick. Also, I'm pulling them off, putting them in the bucket. I want them clean between each wheel. Next, I've got the face of the wheel to do. This specific brush is super soft. Our wheel brush bristles are made to clean brake dust off and crud without scratching. Now, I'm going to go ahead and be very thorough yet very gentle in cleaning the face of this wheel. You're going to see I'm going to get in the nooks and crannies, and since these bristles are so soft and floppy, they get into the nooks and crannies of this wheel really well, very easily. Now you can see as I'm cleaning the wheel, on a black wheel it doesn't show up as bright. However, look at all the purple running down off the face of the wheel. That's all the brake dust that our wheel cleaner attacked and is now dripping off the face of the wheel. So now this is a lug brush. This lug brush can also be used for doing some cleaning of the exterior vehicle, but it's extremely effective at getting the sockets where your lug nuts are. You need a smaller tool to get all the way back into the back of those, and this guy is the kicker. This same brush is also very effective at cleaning your brake calipers. Since getting into the back and getting little nooks and crannies is harder with a big brush, this guy does it very thoroughly. The last thing I want to touch is the hats. The hats, yeah, the hats. So that's basically the part of your brake rotor that attaches to your wheel. If you don't clean this hat right here, often the paint, almost all of them are painted, the paint will literally fall off and look crappy and it'll become rusty. And I'm sure one of your cars in your family right now probably has rusty hats on your rotors. So by cleaning those hats, you'll notice that the actual wheel and the hat and your rotor will all stay nice, they won't lose paint. So I've gone through all those tools. You get a chance to see why each of them are necessary, and now it's time for me to blast off this wheel and then move on to the next. Okay. Notice how thorough I'm rinsing this. You want to make sure and get all of the wheel cleaner, tire cleaner, everything all the way out of this wheel. Now this extra segment is for the real sickos. If you're like me, you want your wheels perfect all the time. Now, our H2O Garden Gloss, this is a water activated sealant. Now, I'm not even finished washing this car, and am I really gonna go ahead and add sealant to this? Yes. So what you do, you spray down your wheel, take your wet borderless gray towel, and I'm gonna go ahead and just rub and apply the sealant over the wheels. And by doing this, I'm gonna maintain protection on these wheels. I'm gonna maintain a really easy time removing brake dust every time I clean it, and I'm gonna make them look fantastic. So, do you need to do this? Absolutely not. Your wheels are black, they're shiny. Your wheels are any color and you want them shiny. This process is awesome. So, wet towel, dry borderless gray. We'll come back over and just wipe now these wheels down once more. I'm gonna get all the residue off of them, and I'm gonna make these wheels look like new. And how often do you do this? I do this about every third time that I clean the wheels, which for me, only once a week, since I'm a 3 times a week cleaner on my wheels and tires. You think I'm kidding, I'm crazy. But you know what? You're crazy too, because you're watching this video of me cleaning stuff. All right. Now, that is not only a super clean wheel, but also it's now a protected wheel. The next time I wash the wheels, you're gonna notice that the water is gonna dance right off those, right off all the painted surfaces, and they'll be even easier to clean. So there's 2 parts to preserving and protecting your tires and your wheel wells. If you have carpeted wheel wells like this, then you don't have to do a whole lot to maintain them. However, all of the suspension components like these aren't really painted very well. There's also some other parts of your undercarriage that are gonna look kind of ugly after time. So the undercarriage spray really is just for the undercarriage components, anything that looks like chalky, black, sort of gray, not really clean, not really nice. The undercarriage spray will make it look nice and consistent and even. It dries to a nice matte finish. So that's your undercarriage spray. Undercarriage spray is not at all for any purpose ever used for running boards, okay? It's slippery, you'll definitely slip. Serious injury or death may occur, okay? We've got another product for that called VRT, or you can even use our interior detailer. Now, when it comes to protecting your tires, putting something on your tires that both makes it look good and protects it from UV, our Tire Shine is that product, okay? Now, it's kind of thick, and when you spray it onto the tires, you can easily blast off your wheels, which is a bummer. So we don't want to do that, especially when you have big tread blocks right here. The way to spray your tires down is to spray directly into the very outer edge of the tire. This way you get the product to go up and into the tread blocks, which won't happen if you just try to apply it with a sponge. So watch how I do the tire shine. I give the trigger a solid pull. By giving the trigger a solid pull, I'm able to get the tire shine to atomize, to get really fine up into this entire tread block pattern, and then I'm going to come back over it with our Pro Tire Sponge and level it off. Then into my Pro Tire Sponge. Now the Pro Tire Sponge is very specifically designed only for tire dressing application. Has a nice hand grip, and then there's a glue block that attaches this convoluted foam piece to there. This way my fingers don't get dirty when I'm dressing the tires. I like to spray a little bit of tire shine into that applicator and then watch how I level this off without, I don't think I have a single speck of dressing on the wheels. By spraying it up there into the tread blocks, I was able to completely avoid getting my nicely cleaned and H2O guarded wheels. I'm not really into super high gloss tires. I like them to be kind of just really black like this. So that's my look. If I'm a big fan of really high gloss tires, the way to do this is to spray the tire shine onto the tire liberally and then let it dry. You're gonna have some dressing left over in some of the lettering and some of the tread blocks. Let it dry for about a half an hour and then come back with a sponge and just knock it down. You can see how this look is. This looks nice and even, not ridiculously shiny, but it looks nice and black. I love using cardboard. I don't want to have tire shine marks on my asphalt driveway, and I don't want it on in my garage either. So that's the look. If that's the look you're looking for, do it just like I did it. If you want more gloss, blast it, let it dry, look like patent leather. Your wheels and tires are so important. In fact, sometimes you can clean just your wheels and tires and your car looks great. The process that I've just demonstrated is thorough, but there's not a single tool that you really don't need. Every one of them has a significant purpose, and getting your wheels and tires perfect and keeping them perfect is really easy when you have the right stuff. For me, I clean my wheels and tires thoroughly, the barrels and all, every single time I wash the car, because while I'm driving, I'm smiling behind the wheel knowing I'm all the way clean and my wheels are perfect front to back.